Okay, so calling the meeting to order, I'm going to start. Welcome to this continuation of a prior meeting of the Board of Scientific Counselors for NTP. I'm going to start by asking Board of Scientific Counselors members to confirm their presence in the meeting. So I will just call out your name. Please come onto video and unmute and just let us know that you're here. I'll start with Dr. Bloom.
I'm here.
Thank you. And I should have mentioned already that Dr. Haynes and Dr. Line have conflicts, so they will not be joining us today. Dr. Kimbrough?
Here.
Thank you. Dr. Martin?
Here.
Thank you. Dr. Meeker?
Here.
It looks like Dr. Payne Sturgis is not joining us today, so can we go to the next slide, please? Dr. Rusi?
Here.
Great, thank you. Dr. Singla?
Yes, I'm here.
And Dr. Yang?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. I would also like to introduce the BSc Working Group Chair, Dr. David Eaton. Dr. Eaton?
I am here.
Great, thank you. Now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Brownlow of NIEHS to introduce select DTT staff and FDA NIOSH representatives who are joining us.
Thank you, Dr. Gray. So similarly, I would like to acknowledge, ask members to acknowledge their presence. So Dr. Wojcik.
Yes, Rick Wycheck, Director of the NIEHS and the MTP. I'm here.
Thank you. Dr. Archer will not be joining us today. Dr. Sills.
Yes, I'm here. I'm Acting Scientific Director, Division of Translational Toxicology.
Thank you. Dr. Wolf.
Yes, I'm here attending. Thank you.
Dr. Patterson.
Yes, I'm on. Thank you.
Thanks. And Dr. Lawson.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will pass it over back to our chair, Dr. Kathleen Gray.
Thank you. We're going to start our discussion this afternoon by hearing from Dr. Eaton, the BSc Working Group Chair. As a reminder, this is a continuation of our prior discussion, and there was one item that we would like to clarify how to proceed. So Dr. Eaton is going to share a brief presentation, and then the BSc will have questions and discussion. Thank you, Dr. Eaton.
1 minute.
Dr. Eaton, before you proceed, I would like to just take a minute to go through our housekeeping items and conflict of interest. So I will do that next. The members of the NTP Board of Scientific Counselors serve as individual scientists and not as representatives of any organization. Each member is to exercise judgment prior to or during the meeting as to whether a potential conflict of interest might exist relative to the topic under discussion due to his or her occupational affiliation, professional activity, or financial interests, or those of their spouse, minor child, partner, or organization. Board members are asked to bring to the attention of the committee and of the federal officer any potential conflict of interest that might pertain to the topic being considered at the meeting. Should there be a potential conflict of interest, it will be handled in accordance with departmental policies and regulatory requirements. Thank you. And just for some housekeeping items, this is a public meeting and it is being broadcast to a remote audience. So if you're speaking, please remember to introduce yourself for the listening audience. And as I mentioned, it's a public meeting, so we ask everybody in the Zoom call to reserve the use of the chat box to technical issues only. All discussions in the meeting will take place in the public forum and will be captured in the meeting minutes. We also ask presenters and speakers to mute yourselves and turn off your video unless you're speaking as part of Zoom etiquette. Sorry. Use the raise hand feature if you're asking questions or participating in the discussion. Slides and video recording will be made available on the meeting webpage as soon as they meet the government requirements for accessibility. And similarly, the minutes will be posted to the meeting webpage once they have been reviewed for accuracy by the BSC members, approved by the chair, and also meet government requirements for accessibility. Thank you.
Okay, I'm having some connection problems. I'm going to turn my video off and see if that helps. Are you okay now?
We can still hear you.
Okay, well, let's try this. Hopefully my bandwidth will improve. Let's go to the next slide, please.
All right, thank you. So as I was saying, we had this meeting on May 4th with the board where we presented the full working group report. And there was one potential error noted in the discussion relating to the working group's response to question 8P on page 323 that related to a particular IQ statistic that was potentially misinterpreted by the working group. And so we looked into this. Next slide, please. And this is the discussion, and let me walk you through this. The comment related to the conversion or the utility of using a standardized mean difference versus IQ points. And the response of the authors said that using an example, total fluoride exposure among individuals living in optimally fluoridated areas, 0.7 milligrams per liter in drinking water, may be higher than 0.7, dependent on personal habits and behaviors and habits. And they talked about this type of variation in the manuscript. We noted in the discussion, we said that subtle shifts in mean IQ at the population level could have a large impact. We note that the fluoride exposure among individuals in optimally fluoridated areas could be higher or potentially lower than the 0.7 milligram per liter, depending on personal habits and behavior. Now, we added a comment here, and that's what is highlighted in yellow. And this is where the error in interpretation occurred, which was we had looked at the table 2, which included in the title IQ levels in children, and misinterpreted that the 0.46 was IQ points. In fact, it was the standardized mean difference. And one way within an individual study of correlating IQ points with standardized mean difference is to assume what the standard distribution of the population is. And there is, by default or somewhat by definition, in a population for IQ, 15 points is often used as the standard deviation. And one way of converting a value to IQ points is to multiply the standardized mean difference by 15, the standard deviation, to come up with IQ points. And that would give you, in this example, a value of about a little less than 7 IQ points. The authors had discussed an example where they said, for example, a 5-point decrease in population's IQ would nearly double the number of people classified as intellectually disabled. And we had incorrectly looked at the minus 0.46 as being an IQ point and not the standardized mean difference. So we then realized that that was an error and are proposing to change the text. If I could have next slide. To simply delete that section that incorrectly talked about the comparison of the standard mean difference. And here you see this calculation. Now, I would say that what's not included here is a lot of discussion that the authors actually provided in response to a number of other comments from peer reviewers about how it's probably not correct or not appropriate to take a standardized mean difference of a whole lot of studies with different designs and do this calculation that we've done here, multiply it by 15 points, because for a lot of statistical reasons that I frankly don't completely understand, But there is a lot of discussion, and the authors provided a lot of discussion as to why they did not do that. And in fact, we misinterpreted that was IQ points. And so we think that removing our discussion about that is an appropriate example of that. And so, if we could go to the next slide, please. So what we have proposed to change the working group report, and there is a clerical error here that we need to correct, and that I will point out in a second. But you can see here in the orange text, we propose to just strike the last part of this. Underline there is or lower, and it's not intended to mean that lower is more important than higher. It's simply an indication of an addition to the text that we think the authors should make, where they talked about it. They just gave the example of it being higher, and we think that that's true. It could also be lower, and we're pointing that out. The clerical error is that we inadvertently left out of what the authors had included. If you read in the blue line, it says, "We do not consider the statement to be misleading, using such and such as an example, total fluoride exposure among individuals living in optimally fluoridated areas, etc." Well, we cut and pasted the last three sentences of that to be the response that we had, and what we failed to realize was, in taking those last three sentences, we missed the word total. So what should be in the revision of this document is the addition of where it says in orange, the BSC working group, WG, notes that it should say total fluoride exposure among individuals, as it does above. We simply clerically omitted the total, and it was not intentional, and that was just noticed today. So I would recommend that in revision of this, that the word total be put back in there, which is completely consistent. We spent a lot of time, even in the global comments, talking about how it's important that the authors note that it is total exposure, not, for example, exposure just to drinking water, but it's total exposure that these studies examine. And so that would be consistent with many of the other comments that we made, and again, a clerical error there. So that is the proposal at this point in time, is to fix that error by eliminating the discussion that follows there. There were a few other comments that were embedded in that point that have been made elsewhere in other comments by the reviewers and in response to the author's comments by the working group. They've already been covered, such as the issues regarding to indirect measures of exposure, heterogeneity, et cetera. Those have been covered elsewhere, so that is fine from our perspective to simply delete those last sentences in the response of this comment. Next slide. So here is, again, what we would suggest this looks like, with the caveat that we, on the second to the bottom line there, that the word total be included in front of fluoride exposure. Next slide. So that is the change that we have recommended. Please again note the clerical error and include the word total in that sentence. And with that, I'm happy to raise any or hear any questions that you all have. Hopefully I can hear those on my phone.
So Board of Scientific Counselors members, this is the time if you have clarifying questions for Dr. Eaton, if you would just use the Zoom raise hand function, and then I'll call on you. I see Dr. Singla. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eaton. My question is, so the response is still considered inadequate because we're suggesting that the words "or lower" be added. Is that correct?
That is correct. I will say that I don't think there would be any issue from the working group if that was changed to the next level, which was adequate, but with a suggestion to add lower. I think that this kind of fell between the lines there, but you know, the initial recommendation was to maintain the inadequate rating. But I personally, and I've discussed this with others on the board, you know, if the working group, the board chose to change that from inadequate to adequate, and then make that as a suggestion, that would be fine with the working group. I don't think anybody has any concern with that. Obviously, that would require some additional changes in the text in terms of the numbers of how many adequate versus inadequate responses, et cetera. But that's doable. That's not a big issue. So again, if that's the desire of the board, that's the working group would have no concern about that.
Thank you.
Are there any other clarifying questions from the board? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into our deliberation and action stage. So today's meeting is a continuation of the May 4th meeting, which is why the Federal Register notice did not formally solicit public comments. However, one written public comment was submitted by Chris Norath this morning. The comment was shared with Board of Scientific Counselors members in advance of this meeting and is available on the meeting webpage. So I also want to ask Board of Scientific Counselors members if you have any comments regarding the written public comment that we received. And this would be a time to use the Zoom raise hand function if you have any comments to share with the group. Seeing no hands, there is one item for voting on in this meeting, and that is the revised text for section 8P from the BSC Working Group report. And I believe we're going to have our charge projected to remind everyone what was the charge to the BSC. That was to evaluate the adequacy of NTP responses to external peer review and/or federal agency comments received during the development of the State of the Science monograph and the meta-analysis manuscript. As a reminder, the BSC is not providing independent peer review of the State of the Science monograph or the meta-analysis manuscript, and the BSC may offer perspectives and suggest revisions that could improve the quality of either document. So the one item that we're going to be reviewing from the May 4th meeting is this section 8P. Now is the appropriate time for me to ask Board of Scientific Counselors members for a motion on whether we accept the revised text in 8P as shared with us by Dr. Eaton, with also the clerical, with or without the with the clerical qualification of adding total fluoride, and then whether we want to accept that, reject the revised text, or offer some other recommendation. So I'll ask you members for a motion.
I
Dana, I
move
see
that,
you. Yeah, go ahead.
yes, I move that we accept the revision.
I get that.
Who seconded? Oh, is that you, Dr. Martin?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Okay. So we have a motion to accept the revision as provided by the working group, and we have a second. Is there, any discussion before we vote? Any comments, questions, discussion of that issue from board members? Okay, so if not, I'm gonna ask you, oh, go ahead, do I hear? Not seeing hands or hearing anyone else, I'm gonna ask the BSC to vote by verbal acknowledgement. And we have in front of us what we are voting on. So we are voting to accept the revised text as just presented by Dr. Eaton. And I will call on you and ask for your yes, no, or abstain vote. So Dr. Bloom,
Yes.
thank you. Dr. Kimbrough,
Yes.
Dr. Martin,
Yes.
Dr. Meeker. Oh, sorry, Matt. I think since you seconded, I see you, but Dr. Meeker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dr. Rusi,
Yes.
and I'm calling on you, Vina, even though you made the motion for the vote.
Yes.
Dr. Yang.
Yes.
Okay, so we have unanimous support to accept the revised text as provided to us by the BSC working group. I would like to turn to Dr. Wojcik for any closing remarks that he might have for us.
No, I just want to thank you, Kathleen, for your leadership and thank all members of the BSC. And I think we have, it's good to know that we have acceptance of the working group. I also want to take an opportunity to thank Dave and have him pass on to all members of the working group. This was a huge effort. And I'm confident that the NTP authors addressing all of the comments that were raised in the working group report will substantially increase the overall quality of the final manuscript. So I will be working with the members, the working group, the NTP authors to try to make the revisions and try to get this into publication as quickly as possible. Kathleen, if there are issues that come up in terms of deliberations between the NTP authors and me, I mean, ultimately I make the decision on this. I'll be consulting with our partner organizations. I have to, they're part of the NTP too. NTP is not just NIEHS, it's also the FDA and the CDC. But I'm hoping that within the next several weeks, max, that we can actually come to some closure on this. But if there are issues that that come up, can I assume that I can call on you and other members of the BSC to help to bring your wisdom to bear on resolving any different points of view between the authors and the working group suggestions?
The BSC members are here to serve as advisors, so please feel free to consult.
Terrific. Well, thank you.
Okay, so thank you. I want to close by thanking Dr. Wojcik, Dr. Archer, Dr. Wolf, Dr. Brownlow. I think this has been a Herculean effort, and I am proud of the participation of the board and the response to comments that were raised. So I do hope that folks who are watching online can really see that the agency leadership made a sincere effort to respond to all comments and really wants to get the best science out there. With that, I will adjourn this meeting and thank you all for your participation.